the runners were through. The first bomb explodes just a few yards from the finish line.
Contributing to an overall feeling of unease today was this word out of Washington starting last night that the poisonous substance ricin, which most of us first got a lesson in the days after 9/11, ricin has been found on letters mailed to the president and at least one U.S. senator.
Good evening, Brian. Nerves were already on edge in the Capitol because of Boston when those letters, possibly containing lethal poisons, were intercepted. One addressed to a senator, another to the President of the United States.
Well, the latest developments in the ricin investigation can be summed up with what is possibly my favorite sentence ever uttered in relation to a possible deadly terrorist incident.
Authorities have switched their focus from the Elvis impersonator to a karate instructor.
That is the answer to the most up game of Clue ever.
Keep the camera rolling. Yeah. What are you hearing? Everything good?
You can hear the car alarm.
Maybe someday, if you find them ghost-getter castle of your mind, remember the times when we laughed, screaming together to the windy skies. And someday, my friend, if you find rabbit that runs as the day go by, fish that can swim as the turtle's eye, don't hesitate, don't pass me by.
Kevin's just like drama, and I don't, and then it's like that. I've had enough drama last in a lifetime. Yeah. Now I like to watch soap operas. Days of our lives, I like that. So I hate that on that Lamar thing, but I'm not shocked. Really? But I hate that. Because I do want it to be successful, because we have 4 children. What happened to my tomato? All our stuff rotted.
Humidity has been good. There are a lot of experiments here.
Oh, Kevin and I have always been very close. For some reason, he stayed close to me. The other kids went out and did their own thing, always gone. But Kevin was right there with Mom. Well, Elvis was a common thing in our house. I loved him to death and felt like I had a kind of a special bond with him. And the kids just picked up on that, and Kevin started trying to sing like Elvis, and after a while his older brother decided he'd start doing that too. So I've got 2 of them that does it, but they grew up on Elvis.
Yes, I'm Jack Curtis. I'm Kevin's oldest, let me back up. I'm Kevin's older brother, and I live here in Tupelo, Mississippi. Many years ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago, I competed in Memphis along with Kevin. We both used to go to Memphis and compete in the Images of Elvis competition. We had a show, it was called Double Trouble, and we performed in the first Tupelo Elvis Festival here, and we actually got to perform at Milam, which is where Elvis went to school. That was pretty cool.
I am Paul Kevin Curtis. I have 3 first names, and I don't know why anyone ever called me by my first name. still wondering why that happened. We're all in music, sang in church every week. My dad would teach me songs when I was 4, 5, 6 years old. And so he would have me every Sunday singing in church. And my mom sang, and she wrote poems, and my dad was a huge songwriter. He's probably written 5,000 songs or more. And so grew up in a lot of music and church.
Train our ride, 16 coaches long. Train our ride, 16 coaches long. Well, that long black train got my baby back home.
Natchez, Mississippi. That's where I grew up and got my first taste of music and in a live band. Actually, my mother said, if you win the Elvis contest tonight, I will take you to Memphis and get a suit made for you, the white jumpsuit by the people that used to make Elvis's suit. And so I won the contest. She brought me to Memphis, had me fitted, and they made the suit. Then I came back, and it was interesting because I was real quiet, real shy, and reserved in school my whole life. And the minute I entered the contest in 8th grade and then won the talent contest, doing Elvis in the jumpsuit and throwing the scarf out, everything changed. I went from being the weird, quiet guy that never speaks to, he's cool.
Well, tonight I feel like Elvis with this guitar in my hand. With so many all around me, makes it hard to understand how someone can be so lost inside all alone and in a crowd. Oh, tonight I'll drink the blues away with a jukebox way up loud. Sometimes I just start thinking about the lost loves in my life. From my first true love to my pickup truck, on down to my ex-wife. It's easy though, just let go when you're 3 sheets in the wind. All night I'll drink the pain away with booze and ballroom friends. Booze and ballroom friends, it's what I'm turning to. That old jukebox amongst Marilyn Jones and old Hank's Lovesick Blues. A place where you can get away from the world that you're living in. All night I'll drink the blues away with booze and ballroom friends. As I try to drown the memory of another place and time where love was made and songs I played about that girl I left behind. Lord, I know I'm on a downhill road. My grandma said, boy, it's a sin. I'll sing them blues and to carry on with booze and barroom friends. Yes, it's booze and barroom friends. It's what I'm turning to. That old jukebox and Monson, Marilyn Jones and old Hank's Lovesick Blues. It's a place where you can get away from the world that we're living in. All night I drank the pain away with booze and barroom friends. All night I'll drink it all away with my booze and barroom friends.
Authorities have now arrested and charged a man suspected to have sent those 2 suspicious letters to President Obama and Republican Senator Roger Wicker. 45-year-old Kevin Curtis was arrested by FBI officers in his home of Corinth, Mississippi last night.
When you can write a lead that includes Elvis impersonator, Ricin, and the President of the United States, that's like every reporter's dream.
Well, probably William Faulkner said it best. To understand the world, you got to understand a place like Mississippi. We have got the weirdest bunch of yahoos that make up the state of Mississippi, of probably any of the southern states or any state in the nation.
There were 2 different incidences that had Tupelo in the news, and neither one of them were real good. And I was like, why can't people just get along, you know? We need some positive press. People look down on us from Mississippi enough already.
And this is Scott Spencer, and coming up on Thursday night, there's an event coming to the Lyric in Oxford, and it's called FBIOU, a Rice and Roll concert. Gets underway at 8 o'clock, and it will feature Kevin Curtis, who is here with me right now. Now, the name Kevin Curtis should mean something to you. If it doesn't, hark back to a year ago, and his name was in the middle of quite a controversy created over some letters sent to some high-up officials, including the President of these United States.
Yeah, I was going to check my mail, and I noticed the neighbors were all out, which they had never been in the whole, I'd lived there since December, and I'd never seen more than one person at a time. There was about 12, and like an ant bed was stirred up. So I remember making a mental note of, it was just a different kind of day, different scene. Right as I was approaching to get out and go, and I had, the mail key in my hand, I just noticed cars coming from both areas, east and west, at a rapid pace, very fast, and different kind of cars, tinted windows, armored cars, and FBI, government type cars, and police cars, and no sirens or anything. They just zoomed in, and I thought they were going to run over me, and they stopped just feet from me, slammed on the brakes, and immediately everyone jumped out of their cars with guns and get on the ground, and it just took me by shock, obviously. And I was conscious of my dog getting out, so I just kept looking, making sure she's okay, and through the whole process. So never knowing what I was being arrested for, never having a clue, and no one would tell me anything. They got angry and agitated every time I asked.
So then when the FBI called and said he won't be coming, I've asked him some questions, and we may need to ask you some questions later, and I'm like going, Well, I said, am I in any trouble? And they're like, no.
They said, you know why we're here. I said, I don't have a clue.
When you learned that you were being accused of sending ricin to the President of the United States, how did you react?
I was shocked. I just said, what? Rice? I don't like rice. I don't eat rice. I don't have rice.
I'm Christy Willett, and I'm a professor of pharmacology and environmental toxicology here at University of Mississippi. We talk about ricin usually one of the first days of class because we talk about poisonings and we talk about the history of toxicology, which ricin has played a role in as far as poisonings go. The name ricin has been around for a long time because it's a natural product. And it sort of became famous, or the famous use of it was in 1978. The KGB killed a Bulgarian journalist with a famous umbrella incident with the tip of an umbrella that was laced with ricin. More recently, in 2004, the Senate office buildings in Washington, D.C., the mail rooms were contaminated. So that's actually when I first started teaching it, was after the 2004 incident.
Earlier today, a suspicious substance was discovered in the Capitol Hill mailroom of Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. Preliminary tests show it to be the toxin ricin. Capitol Police and Senator Frist held this briefing on the investigation just a few moments ago.
Just after 3 o'clock today, the United States Capitol Police was notified by a postal worker in room 454 of the Dirksen building of suspicious white powder. It was not clear what package or what letter this powder may have come from, but it was at least suspicious. Following standard police protocol, they took the samples of that to another facility we have on the campus where 3 more tests were done. 2 of those 3 tests do indicate that it is ricin. So we have had several confirmations that it is ricin.
So ricin is a protein that is the castor oil plant. Flowers and then has beans. The beans will actually have the ricin in it. And so sometimes children can get a hold of them. And if a child ingests a bean and it's the shell isn't cracked, then it might go through them okay. But if that outer surface of the shell or the bean gets broken, then the ricin is available.
Finally, after about 4 hours, an FBI agent said, he said, let's just cut the crowd. He said, there is a girl dying in the hospital in Tupelo. Now, you know what you did, you know what you sent, you tell us what's in those ingredients, you tell us, because if she dies, it's on you.
You know, I said, I'm going to pray for the girl in the hospital, but I have no clue of what you're talking about. Nothing. And he said, I'm not going to ask you again. Tell us now what you did and why. This girl could lose her life. At that point, I started getting real worried because he mentioned her dying and her murder being on my head. Yeah, imagine how I felt then.
My name is Christy McCoy. I'm an attorney here in Oxford, Mississippi. I'm Kevin Curtis's, I guess you would say, I'm his lead attorney. I knew a little bit about Kevin. And what I knew about Kevin certainly did not coincide with what I was hearing about Kevin. But I watched a press conference over and over on the internet by Jim Johnson. Jim is the sheriff of Lee County. I have known Jim 20 years at least. He is probably as honest and upfront. I would trust him no matter what. And something about his press conference just really caused me a lot of concern.
There was a letter that was inside an envelope that was mailed to one of our Justice Court judges, whose name we're going to refrain from releasing. This letter was typewritten and contained some wording that was of interest. Inside this letter was a suspicious content. There are great consistencies between the content, the letter itself, the way the letter was written, the postmark of the letter, the way the letter was addressed. There are great consistencies and similarities to the 2 letters and the information that we received from the federal people that Senator Wicker and President Obama received.
He reiterated over and over that he would not name a suspect and he would not name any victims because there were questions of Judge Hart, Judge Holland, is it Judge Holland? He wouldn't even answer that. And he made it a very strong point to separate himself from the feds. He said over and over, I can't speak for the federal government, but this is what we're doing. I'm not naming anyone. And I told my husband, I was like, something is wrong there. You know, I know Jim, something is not right. When I first saw Kevin, he was very spaced out. He didn't know where he was. I mean, he knew that he was in Oxford in the federal courthouse, but it was very apparent to me that he did not understand what he was charged with. Not because he was incompetent to do so, but because of the shock of it. I mean, he was in shock.
Christy McCoy knew from the moment that she became his attorney that if they sent him off to get a psychological examination, he would be lost in some ways in a federal system for months, and that whatever was going to happen with the case would just languish and languish. And she was convinced that he was not guilty. And so she stared the FBI down and she said, prove it to us and prove it right now that you have direct evidence between Mr. Curtis and Ryson. And she didn't blink.
He was very forthcoming from the beginning, saying, I didn't do this. I did not do this. You've got to believe me. They've got to believe me. I did not do this. Now, you can imagine I've heard that a lot in 20 years, but you just start to know. And I believed him. I believed him right then. I could just tell.
And I have been in the House of Representatives representing Lee County for 31 years. I own Holland Funeral Directors in Tupelo, Nettleton, and Oklahoma, and I own a farm. Kevin Curtis, many years ago, tried to link me to a conspiracy at the North Mississippi Medical Center, since I've been a local undertaker in this community for some 30 years, with selling body parts. Just the most bizarre thing I've ever heard tell of. And I didn't pay any attention to that. I mean, you know, we've got 4 Hollands right now in public office, and that's not a vain statement, it's just a factual statement, and we run our own lives without fear or intimidation, and we're all pretty much populist, left-leaning, yellow dog Democrats, the only ones left in these parts. And we do our thing and we serve our people, and we do it very honorably and very transparently, and what you see is what you get out of all of us. I can assure you with mathematical exactness, the only people that I've tried to share body parts with is more of the Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency, so that they might take something and use it to save another life.
I'm Justin Williams. I worked for the hospital for 12 years. I had several jobs in pathology, surgery, and as a contractor. I saw a lot of body parts, but I didn't see any getting hijacked or any sort of malfeasance at all. Every organ procurement that I've ever seen was done by MORA, Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency. And it wasn't done by any on-staff physician at the hospital. They actually fly medical students and MORA staff in from Jackson or whichever school they can get them from to come and procure these body parts. And you're not going to do a head transplant. That's just not feasible or technologically possible or anything like that. The only thing of real value in the head would be the bone in the eyes. So if you were going to actually sell eyes, why would you have an entire head? It's going to be much easier to hide and transport just the eyes. And the head is just going to be another 8 pounds of useless weight.
We have to ask, has there ever been any case of any wrongdoing of selling body parts on the black market?
Not through this hospital, no. No, nothing like that.
I found out about it when I read about it in the paper, which was really interesting. And we had a funeral that afternoon, and I said, Mother, I'm reading this interesting story that you have sniffed rice. And she said, yeah, wasn't much to it. Said, I answer all my mail just like you do. And I noticed this powdery substance, and I did like any good country woman would do. I gave it a smell test. And then I passed it on to Sheriff Johnson. Mother's not been to a doctor, a nurse practitioner, any medical provider in 55 years for anything, including a physical, a pap smear, a mammogram, nothing. The woman has not been sick. She is 82 years old presently, and working magnificently every day in the courts and in our funeral business and on her 40-acre farm. It really didn't become a first-class alarm till everybody realized President Obama and Senator Wicker got the ricin as well. And from that point, it became actually national news.
As you saw from a statement from the FBI as well as a statement from the United States Secret Service, there was a letter addressed to the President that at a off-site mail facility was noticed to have contained a suspicious substance, and tests were undertaken. The FBI has the lead in that investigation, of course, and has said in its statement that they will be conducting further tests to determine what the nature of the substance is. Of course, there was another letter, as you know, sent or detected by Capitol Police that was sent to a United States senator. That also has been is a subject of the investigation by the FBI. And for more information about these matters, I refer you to the FBI.
My name is Hal Nielsen. I'm an attorney. I practice with Christy McCoy on a lot of cases, and I was co-counsel on the Kevin Curtis case. We'll either be the most liked or most hated attorneys in the country, but would certainly, take the case. And we started talking about ricin and what it took, and I'd had training in biological, matters with the FBI, and I knew exactly how to make ricin and, the different stages. And we talked about it, and Christy kept going, I'm just not sure if he even knows how to make ricin. And I said, well, we will certainly find out, and I will talk with him. We'll get together tomorrow morning, and we'll meet with Kevin, and we'll go from there. The following morning, we had a hearing in front of the Chief Judge, Mills, and the federal government was trying to request a mental evaluation of our client, who I had yet to even meet, and Christy had met one time. And normally what is strange about that, normally the defense attorneys are the ones that would make that request, and we had the government doing that. And as we met and talked in judges' chambers about it, it almost seemed like it was a stall tactic by the United States government. And the judge ruled in our favor and basically said, hey, I'm not going to agree with that. And we walked out of there, and the government got up and walked away, and they were not happy with it. We no sooner got back to the office that we found out that the government had filed a motion to extend for a continuance for 2 to 3 days to extend the preliminary hearing, and stated in it that Christy and I agreed to it. And we had no knowledge whatsoever of this. And I'm going, are you kidding me? And then it confirmed to me the government was trying to stall for some reason. We knew something was up. I was absolutely convinced. Convinced they had the wrong person, convinced they were going down the wrong road. Someone had jumped the gun here. Absolutely convinced. Convinced they had the wrong person, convinced they were going down the wrong road. Someone had jumped the gun here.
Check 1 2, check 1 2. Welcome back to Studio 10. This morning we have a very special musical guest with a sound all their own. It's the drummerless, guitar, DJ-driven Memphis Funk Fest trio. We're talking about a robo-drum here in the studio. Guys, good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
We've got Dusty, Maddie, and DC. We heard you guys during the break warming up. You sound incredible. Dusty, tell us a little bit about robo-drum.
Well, it began as a solo project where I literally just brought a robotic drum machine, this little bad boy right here,
yes,
to accompany me during live solo events. And then it just kind of morphed from there and just grew and grew. And when we signed with Melodic Revolution Records, things just kind of took off. Needed to add some people, add a whole different sound, add some modern to it with the rapping and a female singer. And it is what it is now.
spaced out. I just wanna feel the strings on my guitar. I started out in last place, but they know I'm gonna win. I done knocked at the clubhouse door, but the pigs won't let me in. This Wolfie plays for keeps. Oh yeah, I'm on the proud good job. I'm a huff on a puff. Gonna blow your house down. Gonna blow your house down.
Music is subjective. Art is subjective. I understand this, but I haven't personally spoken to anyone who would classify either of his albums as music. Maybe muzak, but not music. There was really not a whole lot of, there was no emotion, there was no connection there. It was all just sterile. It was, he had a drum machine. He had this, this huge pedal that had all of these effects in it, and it had drum loops, and he would play the drum loops and have things sampled, and it would just be real mechanical sounding everything. Even his vocal was mechanical sounding. I first met Everett in about November of 2002. I was working for a local free classifieds paper, and he was selling Dish Network subscriptions. And he was friends with my boss, and he spent a lot of time at the office. He was not really the type of person that I would call a friend. I called him, I knew him, and I was always civil to him, but not really the type of person you'd want to trust. You could tell even then there was something about him. He was just kind of, I don't know, slick, squirrely.
I had known Mr. Dutschke slightly, peripherally, when he ran for the legislature some years ago. But then I knew that he had a martial arts studio in Tupelo, and then, of course, with my beat on courts, when he ran into some trouble in the county courts and then into the circuit court, that is something I'm directly involved with as far as covering it for the paper.
He feels like felt like he was above everyone else. He was more important, most important person he knew. Real condescending in attitude and tone.
Well, he was my opponent in one election, let me see, 2007 or 8, whatever year we ran. And I had never heard of him. And so, as best I remember that year, it looked like I was going to get a free ride, which is what you always hope when you've been in office since 1983. a free ride. It's the easiest way to run and the most secure way to run for public life. And then all of a sudden this Dusky guy qualifies. He ran, of course, as a Republican and was touting some of this far-right philosophy of limited government and, kooky ass shit. And so I didn't think anything about it. I said, man, I'm just going to plow that old furrow right on down straight, just like I've always done. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with this guy. Well, then he got nasty real quick. I shook hands with him and wished him well and asked him to keep it above board and direct it toward issues if he could, because I always thought that was the best campaign, no matter who's running. And shoot, he went negative and nasty early on.
I am running for House District 16 against Steve Holland, who has been in office for a quarter of a century. I am his first opponent in over 2 decades, and I will be his last. Mr. Holland is addicted to taxation. Since he's been in office, Mr. Holland, the liberal undertaker, has acted to raise your fees and your taxes. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, Mr. Benz, not 6, not 7, not 10, not 20 times, not 40 times, not 50 times, not even 100 times, not even 200, not 300, not 400 times, not 500 times. Not 800 or 900 times. Mr. Holland has acted to raise your fees and your taxes, Mr. Hampton, 1,032 times. Those are not your values. Ladies and gentlemen, if we keep doing the same exact thing, we can expect the same results. Now you have a choice. Now, there are 2 people, actually there's 3 people, that are wanting you to hire them for that position. Guys, I say, after a quarter of a century, it's simply time to try something new. We certainly can't get any worse. My name is Everett Dusky, and I am the next representative for House District 16.
The first time I heard his name, that was a waitress from Applebee's that was on my MySpace.com page. We had never spoken in our lives, never sent a text, none on Facebook, just a MySpace thing that I had for like 5 years. And she just popped up at my house. She brought up his name to me at my front door.
I don't know who pursued who first. I'm pretty sure it was like Everett wanted to meet Kevin first, and I don't know why, but I know Everett ran a newspaper, a little friendly newspaper, and it said he would print anything, that was that. And so Kevin wanted him to print his story about the hospital, and then Everett's like, no, because I'm running against Steve Holland.
He's like, Kevin, I am running for District 16. You can expect me to sit here and put myself at risk and piss off the entire world in Northeast Mississippi while I am running for office. He was so adamant about it, so arrogant. And I said, well, so you're a liar. He goes, excuse me? I said, let me go to my car and get your newspaper that says you unequivocally will print any story no matter how big or small. I said, well, are you going to print my story? If you're not, you're a liar. Then you need to retract this and redo your paper and say, I'll print a story unless it angers the sponsors and I don't win the election. Well, that's not going to happen. So it's politics. I understood that. And I wasn't going to attack him. I just called him a liar to his face, which he didn't like. I said, you, sir, are a liar. Your paper's a lie. I don't respect you. And we were at war. So I talked to James Moore, and he says, well, we got to prove that this guy is tracking you and following you and stalking you. And I said, well, how are we going to do this, James? Like, I don't know. Think of a way. He was so proud of being a Mensa card-carrying member of high intelligence, high IQ individuals in the state of Mississippi. He was an officer, not just a member. Keep that in mind. I thought, oh, I know how to prove that he's watching me. I know how to really get him. I found a certificate of Mensa, and I cloned it, and I took my business card name, Paul K. Curtis, and put it on the Mensa certificate. And I said, I'm gonna trap him. I'm gonna bait him. I'm gonna hook him like a fish. They were like, pretty smart. It might work. 7 minutes after I published, oh my gosh, I got an email from him that long. If I can't even say the words, like the first 40 words were curse words and threats and high caps, large letters, giant letters, threatening me, and I'm going to sue you for everything you're worth. Yeah, I'm bored too thinking about it. and I mean, he's like, how dare you say that you are a member of Mensa, Kevin. I just got off the phone with the Mensa in New York City and Memphis, Tennessee. There is no Paul K. Curtis in the world as a member of Mensa. And I'm like, keep going, keep sending those emails. I got you.
I'd gone to a little restaurant to eat in Tupelo and was eating lunch, and he happened to come in and sit down with his family. And I went, oh, because he and Kevin were arguing a lot, because Kevin kept telling me Everett was emailing him. So he comes over and goes, you've got to make Kevin stop. And I'm like going, I'm not in this. I'm here to enjoy my lunch. Leave me alone. And he's like, no. He said, because he keeps emailing me. I said, Everett, I've seen the emails and you're emailing him daily. 2, I said, y'all both should stop. And he's like, yeah, but tell him to stop for, it's just silly, And I'm like going, you stop and I'll tell him to stop, but I'm not involved in this crap.
My name is Everett Dusky. Yesterday, during Kevin Curtis, the Ricin mailer, during his pre-trial hearing, his attorney accused me of being the one that sent out the Ricin letters instead of him, his defense attorney. So this morning, I met with the FBI. I consented to a search, signed a piece of paper saying, go ahead and search the house. They're doing that right now, and the search may be going on all day.
Did you have anything to do with this?
I don't have anything at all to do with this. I don't hardly know the guy. In fact, we've only met on 2 occasions. I don't know him very well at all. I don't know anything about this.
This is another strange twist in an already bizarre case. The new suspect is a friend or an acquaintance, if you will, of the previous suspect. And there has been bad blood between the 2 men for years. The 2 have been in a Twitter and YouTube war since 2007.
From the very beginning, Paul Curtis and his attorneys had said that he was innocent. They said that there was a lot of information out there in social media that someone used to frame him.
Turns out the Elvis impersonator may have been framed for the crime of sending deadly poison to the president by J. Everett Dutschke, a small-town politician angry that the Elvis impersonator was possibly removing his campaign bumper stickers. This is not a cunning terror plot. It's David Lynch directing an episode of Mama's Family.
Court documents state Everett Dutschke's computer was used to purchase castor beans, the precursor to ricin, online. And on April 22nd, investigators watching Everett Dutschke saw him dump objects in a garbage bin near his martial arts school. Among the items found were a mask, a coffee grinder, and a box of latex gloves. Forensic officers also took evidence from his taekwondo school. Traces of ricin were found on the mask and samples taken from the school. Documents from a printer owned by Dutschke also showed the same printing artifacts, unique to each printer, as were found on the toxic letter.
Well, I'm glad they got him. Like I told a bunch of them before, I don't care how they got him as long as they got him out of this neighborhood.
I know you were eventually released from jail, and just last Saturday, the FBI arrested a man named Everett Dutschke for sending these letters. Now, according to an FBI affidavit, agents found traces of the toxic substance ricin in his martial arts studio. You had a relationship with this man. How did you 2 know each other?
He came down, from my understanding, from North or South Carolina and got a job working for my older brother in the insurance business. My ex-wife was his manager. So you have my older brother, my ex-wife, and he asked to be placed into her unit. And the first question he asked her was, what was it like being married to Kevin Curtis? And I asked her, didn't you think that was odd? Of course, it was later after the fact. She didn't tell me for months that he was questioning her and other people around town about me. So
about you. What did he have against you?
To this day, I don't know.
There's just bad blood between you all. You had some kind of disagreement and it just escalated? Is that what happened?
That's far as I have a lot of questions myself, and I'm thinking maybe I'll understand more as the trial goes on and unfolds, and I'll get to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
But do you think this guy was trying to frame you?
On the outside looking in now, yes.
It was obvious to all the reporters who were there that no matter how you sliced it, the government really had no evidence that directly linked him to Ryson, these letters, all that sort of thing. Usually the government has the heavy hand in any kind of a criminal prosecution. And when someone is released, that's different. They usually go to jail.
It was so frightening to me because I knew he was innocent. I mean, I knew it wasn't that they couldn't prove he did it. I just knew Kevin was innocent, and I was afraid I was about to watch this man be railroaded. Sometimes when the government gets really deep into a case, it's really hard to get them to look another way.
You know, as Christy McCoy said after he was released, he may be a little crazy, but he's not guilty.
I'm holding today the order of dismissal that dismisses the charges lodged against Paul Kevin Curtis. This has been a long, almost week. A lot of things have happened in the past week. There's nothing that any of us can compare to what Kevin has been through.
I would like to thank all my family, friends, and fans for their love and support over this past week. But most importantly, I would like to thank Jesus Christ, who has been and will always be my best friend, my bodyguard, my teacher, and my almighty judge. Divine intervention led this amazing, beautiful, blonde, blue-eyed angel to my jail cell through my daughter and a connection with her friend. And just like I've always said, my daughter has a direct link to Jesus. He listens to her, he listens to her prayers. And she said when she heard about this, she felt chills. She knew she had to do something. And to my rescue, she came. And for the first time in 13 years, I have had real representation from an attorney at law. And I'll be honest, I haven't had a lot of faith in attorneys. I've went through 20 or so in the last 13 years, and I will never let you go.
I know that my son runs his mouth. He's very outspoken. People don't like that sometimes. They don't want to hear what he really thinks about it. I just know that, I just knew that he couldn't have tried to kill anybody. He never has, and he never will. He's not that bad.
God, if it's not your will that I be this up-in-your-face, justice-seeking, activist, humanitarian, close the door right now and lead me to other things. I should have stayed married, and I should have made it to my son's place. But I missed it being in court and jail and robbed and victimized and threatened to be killed. And I'm still trying to make sense of it to this day. You wake up one day and then federal Homeland Security, and then they're telling you you're going to prison for life. You're never going to see your kids again. You tried to kill the president. I thought the other 22 false arrests, I could deal with that. People get arrested falsely all the time. They get stalked all the time. People get jealous. People hate you. Corporate turmoil, politics, whatever. But I had given up on the justice seeking. I'd given up on fighting the whole corrupt system. And I bowed out with integrity and dignity. And I sent out emails and letters, and I said, I'm done. A couple years ago. And I destroyed all my websites exposing corruption in the state of Mississippi. And I just quit. I put 12 years into it, and I lost my business, my wife, my cars, my land, my home, my animals. And I really felt like I was about to lose my life, and I started worrying about my kids, something happening to them.
And it gets exhausting. You just want to cook and take care of your kids and your animals and get your kids to church and read them a bedtime story and just live.
Without her running out.
How about the dog?
Yeah.
What, my dog?
Yeah.
Come here, Moo Cow.
He's free-spirited, I'll give you that. He can sometimes be a kid at heart, which is, good sometimes. He likes to splurge a lot. He always buys us groceries or toys, and I see fireworks. Of course, he probably bought us those for 4th of July, and he's just a really nice guy, and we all love him.
Me neither. What the wind just like nothing.
What was that for him?
Do you actually like your kids there?
He said he loves you so much.
I love you.
Most people think he's awesome. Like, you have a pretty cool dad. He just bought me a stereo system, which is awesome because it's a very bland, naked car. There's no music. The speakers were taken out. It's lame. But now we got the stereo, and we're gonna go put that in some speakers, and it'll be pretty cool.
And yeah, there's some improvements. But I think
Some improvement? I spent like 14 hours on this car straight. Detailed it, did your windows, painted it, detailed the inside, took out your seats, recarpeted it.
I wanted to play in the field.
Yeah, I put the radio. I don't know how to put that radio in. I don't know a thing about wired radio. I've never done that. I think y'all should get on Xbox Live and go to youtube.com and type in 79 Plymouth Laura installing radio. I can get
To say it's been quite a year is a huge understatement, I suppose.
Definitely. It's been quite
You're going to be playing Thursday night at the Lyric in Oxford, just a block or two away from the Federal Building, where a little over a year ago you were in custody charged with poisoning the president, among others. So what a difference a year can make.
What a difference, definitely.
Do you feel like at this point that in their minds the public has exonerated you?
No, I know they haven't, because I go out in the public and I see people. In fact, there's in Indiana last week, a friend of mine was having lunch at Starbucks, and she was playing my CD, and somebody came up and said, "Who is that? He sounds great." And she said, "That's my friend Kevin Curtis that was charged with the ricin letters." And she goes, "The Elvis guy." And she goes, "Uh-huh." She goes, "All I know, if I see him and I've got my children, I'm running with my daughters." You think that's powerful. I would love to see an opportunity for a press conference where I can be with my attorney staff and we can go nationwide and they can say, "This man did not commit this crime. Call him. He's ready to perform for you today."
And at this point, someone else has confessed to sending those letters. So, what do you hope this documentary can accomplish, Kevin?
I would love to see it open people's eyes and desensitize a nation to this could happen to me, and maybe that would make us all as a people more grounded and on the same page with everyone, with our morals and values and our belief systems, and just if everyone could have that hanging over. A little bit of fear doesn't hurt. A little bit of uncertainty, I think, is good for people, But we also need certainty as a human need. We need certainty that the justice system works, and if you're innocent, you're going to be given a fair trial. That's the message I think this documentary is going to show. This could happen to anybody out there. A plumber, an electrician, a singer, a songwriter, an insurance salesman. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Kevin Curtis.
Oh my gosh.
Graham, you look so cute.
It's the first time this year. Let me see him, dude.
Can you help?
Wait, I'm going to help him.
Bring me that white shirt's going to have to do. You don't have enough.
So do you get to keep this? Can I have it?
It's called
What is it?
Can I have that?
I say you take the diploma and run away and never give it back.
Somebody's interested.
Honestly, why you can't keep the cap and gown? For how much?
They don't give you $5 to rent.
How much does it cost?
Like $65 to rent.
I'm talking about how much does
Probably
it to make it?
$400.
They're probably just going to blanket
To make this little piece of velvet?
Y'all sure y'all don't want to do a series and make this a reality show, because we have a lot that could keep y'all going.
All these animals.
Yeah.
That's Moo Cow's sister Lily, Marley.
What are you doing?
Brother.
Superman? Are you cold?
Radio
So
station.
he's like, you got a gown too?
You guys on the right side. Are
You
you
look
graduating
tight.
tonight?
He's got it.
Alright, let's see.
I don't even want this much you go.
Yeah, one of the girls talking
Like I said,
about
we
me
wouldn't be a
pins
good
at school,
reality.
yeah, the other day.
Hey, Pete. Oh, Petey's in a camera for once. Watch this. He's afraid of
Yeah.
cameras.
Mom!
Yeah?
Say his name when he runs.
Oh, this one's purple.
He'd be so fun.
Is Jackson getting there before or after?
About the same time, if he shows up. There may be a chance he doesn't. Yeah, Petey's like, when I try to take pictures of Petey, and you've got a camera, and you'll have it hidden and pull up, and he runs in the back and hides in my closet. He's there. Oh, wait, here comes his name.
Yeah.
Marley. Do you have any more?
Nope, I'm not really smart.
Yes, you are.
I had.
I just kind of.
Graduation is a very dignified and formal occasion. Therefore, we ask that there be no interruptions during our ceremony. Please, if you would, turn off all cell phones at this time. Also, we respectfully ask that you refrain from outbursts during our ceremony tonight. Thank you for your cooperation in these matters, and again, thank you for being here.
Brandon Presley Curtis.
Courtney Page Deacon. Let us now congratulate Boonville High School's class of 2000.
I don't know where Bram is yet, but he's
He's taking a picture. Yeah. Good seeing you. Gabby. Now come over.
They got you killed.
Awesome.
My bank people got me. My bank people got me Kevin Curtis, we appreciate your time. I know it's been a tough year, to say the least, but I think now we're at the point where things are looking up.
Turning around.
Things are looking up. So all the best to you. Looking forward to seeing the documentary. Be watching for it. I didn't do it, but get out there Thursday night to the Lyric in Oxford, 8 o'clock. FBIOU, a Rice and Roll concert featuring Kevin Curtis.
Bring your own rice.
Do you have any expectations for tonight?
My expectations are to see a great show and have a good time right now.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good show. From what I've seen on the video, I think it'll be very, Elvis-like.
An Elvis impersonator?
pretty excited about it.
You think it's gonna be any good?
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome.
I think it'll be really good.
Can we come back?
This service is saying, I think it's gonna be interesting.
I think it's going to be interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Probably better than Cats.
Red carpet photos.
Red carpet photos.
Local celebrities.
Beer.
Beer. I was expecting to see an amazing show. And I think after somebody who's been not able to perform for a long time and all of a sudden can, it's going to be extra special and something that you don't usually get to see because usually nobody as a performer goes a year without performing. So I think it's going to be
You've seen him on the Katie Couric Show, you've seen him on Today's Show. Now you'll actually get to see him perform. Y'all, could you please give a warm round of applause for the incomparable singer, songwriter, and performance artist, Mr. Kevin Curtis, ladies and gentlemen.
How are y'all doing tonight? Y'all ready to have a good time? This is the first time I have been on a stage since the big day, the big federal day, big frame up. So I'm happy to be here, proud to be performing with an amazing band. Y'all give them a round of applause. They really deserve it. They're having short notice and got it all together in a few days. So it's wonderful to work with seasoned musicians like this and be around a great group of people like you all. And my family, my dad, two dads actually, mom right over here. Hey, how you doing? All right, y'all ready to have a good time? We're going to start out with some music from the 50s and walk you on up to today's, some of my favorite artists, and I hope they're some of yours. All of my love, all of my kissing, you don't know what you're boy. You know, boy, the world is really what man for me. Now the time has come to thank him for the lessons that he gave to me. Sometimes he might have been a little tough, and there were times it couldn't be home. Oh, but Mama was there and she pulled my hair and they taught me how to write this here song. You're a July so cleverly, you never missed a cue. Now then it came at 2. You seem to change, you act strange. Why, I never know. But honey, you seem to find I gotta go. Gotta try to find a way to lose these memories. Everybody, this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I'll see what she could have done. I said she right. Oh, see what she could have done. Oh, you made me love you. Oh, and it's gone. It's not true. I said she's right. I said she's right. I said she's right. And you made me love you well, and now your love is gone. That's what I said. I said, she's right. I said, she's right.
I enjoyed it. He was very talented.
I didn't think he'd be that good, but he's very good. First man. Very good.
I wasn't expecting him to be that good. He's really good. He's great.
Wonderful. I love all the music because I love all the music.
Did I say that twice? Yes.
I was especially moved by the song that he was able to do with his son. It was a great time. I'm so glad I was here.
How did it feel to play with your dad tonight?
Felt good and energized and a dream.
Were you nervous?
Yeah.
The
But
whole time?
until about the second verse, it finally left me. I was like, okay.
Great.
Had you been on a big stage like this?
Kind of, but not entirely. I was by myself. So.
Was it easier or harder with your dad?
Easier. I'd say easier. It's good.
And how did it feel singing with your son?
I loved it. Because I thought about when I was his age exactly, and got to go up with Dad and with a full band behind me, and just being a kid, and being taken seriously by my father. And he said, "I love that Marty Robbins, boy." And he was the first one, I think, probably the first one to hear me do El Paso City when I was.
Oh, Leo was hoping you'd do that tonight.
About 13. Yeah, we should have did it an encore or something.
Oh, man.
But so he, a lot of inspiration, a lot of belief by my parents, and that's important, I believe. And so I've tried to instill that in Kennedy, tell him you have no limitations. You can play anything you want, sing anything you want, do anything you want. And I think he's got it.
I do too.
So it's passed on down from generation to generation.
And how did it feel to see your son and grandson?
Oh, it blew me away. And let me tell you, I was extremely proud that he did some songs that we co-wrote, those last 3 songs. Booze and Ballroom Friends, Country Still Around. I did that on the Louisiana Hayride.
Yeah, a long time ago, when Elvis was on there.
Yeah, I saw him for the first time at Louisiana Hayride, and I mean, it was just a knockout. Oh, great.
So a lot of dreams coming true. So we had some tragedy last year, but now, I mean, look at the good that's come about of it all. So, yeah. So thank y'all for the opportunity and the documentary to document all of this, making history and family.
Indeed.
Kevin is working really hard to just feel good and to, obviously Kevin is very talented, very creative. He would like to do more in that area. He wants to sing. It's funny because he says he always kind of gets tapped as the Elvis impersonator, but he actually does a lot of impersonations. I don't know, you probably saw him on CNN doing Randy Travis, and he was spot on. I mean, he was awesome. So I hope for Kevin that, he will get to work in that way some. We are in the midst of working with what's called an FTCA, a Federal Tort Claims Act. We are going to be making a demand on the government for their wrongful conduct. So we'll see where that goes. Those things never settle quickly. And I never dreamed I would be doing that. I mean, I literally did not dream. I took them at good faith. I really did. Which is kind of unusual for me because I generally don't. I mean, it's like in God we trust, but, that's it. We polygraph everybody else. And I generally don't. I mean, I generally do not, if the prosecutor says it, I take it with a box of salt. But I really did. I took in good faith because this was so huge that I thought certainly they wouldn't risk their reputation, national television. But they did. So Kevin was one of those unexpected clients, and it really threw my schedule because I literally worked nonstop for a week. Well, then once he's released, we have all these opportunities to go places and do things. So when I got back from that, I mean, I was really behind because as you see, it's kind of a one-woman. We don't have staff. I mean, we do a little everything. But no, I have not gotten the benefit of the foot massage, and I could use one with my 4-inch stilettos.
We love our music. We birthed so much of America's music. We live in this cornucopia of drama, relationships, sense of place. We're rooted people. We're interestingly educated people in Mississippi. And we're all intertwined some way or another. And so you put all that together, and the way this unfolded just, to me, has amazing potential to tell not directly a story of an event that happened, but to express in the finest way and fashion the entire genre and character and heart and soul, mind and body of a state and a region and their people. And I don't know where else it could have unwoven like it did here.
But I got to give Curtis his due. I have seldom seen anyone make a more entertaining use of his 15 minutes.
Let it be known, if you need the mega representation, this is the person. Right now, I can't really afford to pay her the $1 million that she's worth.
Whatever.
But I am a licensed, certified reflexologist, and I'm going to start with foot massage therapy with Christy. It's going to be my first client, and I'm going to donate 100,000 hours to community service in Northeast Mississippi to all you ladies who need foot massage therapy.
Seems like a good guy. You know, the only thing he's nuts about is ladies' feet. At least he's got a sense of humor. I wonder how someone could go through an ordeal like that and still keep such high spirits.
I've been to jail over 20 times, and I've never been convicted of anything so far.
Well, you know what they say. If at first you don't succeed.